So
people should have tasks. People should have tasks.
Yes.
Yeah. I have my UN task. You know what I mean? So I'm doing that. Someone else can come along and do something else. But I'm not speaking for the Medicare for All movement. I'm not speaking for like this is like everything is going to be on my shoulder and everyone should just listen to me. Like if you have an idea or you have an approach, you have something you're going to do out there that's going to help us get national approved Medicare for All, please go out there and do it. Don't look for me or don't wait for me to give you an answer. Or like if I decide to like, you know, not do something tomorrow, oh, everyone goes back to sleep. You know, no, please go out there and be proactive. You know, so I think people should have tasks. I think everyone should have their own role in this fight. I don't think that we should keep having, you know, oh, Bernie Sanders drops out or Nina Turner drops out or, you know, whatever happens, you know, we go, you know, we just rest on electoral politics because I'm completely against that. You know, I know I'm probably one of the few people you're going to probably interview that's probably against electoral solutions, but, you know, I think they have their place, but I just feel that at the end of the day, street heat is the most important because you look at any movement, whether it's women's suffrage, civil rights, every major piece of legislation in this country happened because of street heat. 100%.
Yes.
100%.
The thing is, the people on the inside have to be there to actually draft legislation and do stuff. So it's like, the pressure absolutely is only going to come from the outside. Power will concede nothing without demand.
100%.
But there still have to be people on the inside that will work with you and
we'll get them
on your side. You know, you have to be.
No, we'll get them. We'll get them. Like if you look at any point in history, like you look, Richard Nixon didn't want to stop the Vietnam War. He was pressured to do that. You know, he's not an ally. You know, he was pressured to do that. FDR, a lot of people mention FDR all the time about the Green New Deal. I mean, the New Deal. He was pressured to do that. He wasn't an ally. You know what I'm saying?
Not out of the kindness of his heart.
He said, "Make me do it."
Right. So, you know, we can vote in whoever you want. We still got to make them do it.
Yeah.
So, you know.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I agree. And I am completely on board with holding our elected people accountable. They work for us. It's not that complicated.
And not only that, the thing that we say on our show all the time, there really is one unifying issue that we should all agree on. And that is corporate special interest money is what is the signature issue of our time. It covers everything.
That's what keeps everything the way it is.
It covers economic issues. It's economic issues, racial issues, environmental issues. Everything is interconnected to anyone who is willing to be bought at the very top of a system that profits from the suffering of people beneath them. And that to me, more than anything else.
If our representatives weren't on the payroll of big pharma and big insurance companies, then we wouldn't be having this discussion.
And not only
wouldn't even be, of course we would have it because most people want it.
Shareef, would you say that this movement, even though it's been scattered, obviously it's been difficult, you know, and I think there's a lot of electoral exhaustion would be a good way that I would put it, especially after the last 5 years. But I think a lot of people in this movement are getting smarter. I think they're starting to recognize the tricks of the trade, how they do what they're going to do. They kind of, they can sniff it out like almost like a basset hound, if you will, and just say, nope, I know what you're doing. I know how you're screwing us now, and we're not having it anymore. You got nowhere to go. And I think the more we recognize the game that's being played on us, the faster we're going to get, as you suggested, to where we want to go. But bringing the street heat, we agree 1,000%. I like it. It's really good.
How can people support your group?
Especially with what you're doing for the UN, because, you know, Shahid is a friend of the show. We would love to probably, you want to maybe do like a panel or something like that?
Look, I'll always platform this. I mean,
100%.
You know, we have a very dear friend down here, an activist who was really our ringleader on the Medicare for All issue.
Mitch Stolberg.
And he died because we don't
have health care.
And the thing is, that was a really big loss to us down here in that community.
We're still recovering from it.
Yeah, I mean, in a big way. But one of the things was always healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. And that's on the signs, you see the shirts. But yet, you're right, I had never really heard of the traditional human rights groups harping on the healthcare issue.
Right.
But yet I have heard groups doing similar things regarding other countries. But for some reason that we don't talk about it, and yet we know how bad our country is relative to every other.
This is what you're proposing is a fantastic idea.
Yes, it is.
It absolutely is. And you know what? And not only can you have the opportunity to present your case to the UN, that's when you really could rally thousands of people outside the UN with the signs saying, give us our freaking health care already.
And it's embarrassing. Well, you know what? It is embarrassing, but I have felt embarrassed traveling the last couple times I've gone internationally, just in general. But the fact that you go somewhere like I've been to Costa Rica, they can just go to the doctor there.
Oh yeah,
they can just go to the doctor there.
Wow.
You know, like it's like this, and yet we in this country, with our exceptionalism, like you said, we look at countries like that, like somehow we're superior, and yet we don't have what they have. So it's so like we have such a cognitive dissonance about ourselves. It's crazy.
Shareef, is it in what you would call still like the early stages, or do you guys currently have like a set plan or anything like that? That you want to highlight or anything like that?
No, we do have a set plan. So we have a working group that we just started forming, and so the working group is literally going to be just jotting down pieces of evidence, because you have to prevent evidence. You just can't go to the UN and just say, "Hey, we don't have healthcare," because you need to talk about, have your country done anything to solve this issue? We actually have proof of that. That's very easy. The Biden administration refused to even recognize healthcare as a human right. So we just that's a piece of information right there that we can easily just plug into our information when we write this up and say, hey, you know, our current administration is not even doing anything. They don't recognize it because we don't have any recognition. Kind of long term too. I do want to see if we can actually get the Constitution Amendment. That's kind of like one of my ideas, is like even having healthcare human right on there as an amendment, just having that stated to let people know that this is serious. You know, so it's not just a slogan. Now it's a piece of legislation. You know, that's something we need to work on. That's the next step after the UN. But as of right now, we do have working groups. We are going to start reaching out to law students and different other groups to help us compile data and compile information.
I was going to offer, would you like if there's something I can do to help you, I'd be very happy to help you.
No, I love that. I would love that.
I'm an old, used, out of work law student, lawyer, and I just don't. Let's just say this: when you were talking about that you're waiting tables, I relate much more to that. I spent a lot of time waiting tables.
Well, you were able to do what when you worked at Hooters?
Okay, I did. I was a Hooters waitress, and this is really why, because I am younger than most people in my year, so I wasn't able to serve liquor. I was only 19. And in Colorado, you were able to do beer and wine at 19. And anyone who waits tables know the only way to really make money is somewhere that serves alcohol. Like that's just where the money is. So that's why I worked at Hooters. But yeah, I could have poured a pitcher of beer and hula hoop around the table at the same time.
That's pretty damn impressive, if you ask me.
I don't think I could do it now, but at the time.
But no, but all joking aside, I love the idea that Jen, you helping out, because we are going to need it. We're going to need it. The first thing we're going to do, the first thing we have planned, the first thing we're working on organizing, which is already set in motion, is working groups, and we're starting to pile data right now. We're starting to pile research. We're going to jot down all the pieces of information that we actually have. COVID is obviously one of the first things we talked about, because it's the most easiest. We're living in it right now, so we can easily plug that data. Yeah. The fact that I think there's a report that we was just looking at. 40 doctors has put out 40% of Americans would have lived because of COVID if we actually had a single payer system. So that's expert data right there that you can't even refute. I mean, unless you're going to say the doctors are wrong.
Right. The fact that we don't have it with COVID alone, the amount of deaths is crimes against humanity.
How many people didn't go to the hospital when they were getting sick because they don't have health care?
Oh, they couldn't afford it.
Right. So we actually have a petition out as well. I think I shared it with you all already. Mm-hmm. And we have over 5,000 signatures already. We're trying to get that up.
Let him put it in. Where is
there a URL or anything that I could put in?
Yeah, it's the Action Network, the actionnetwork.org/petitions, Medicare for all movement issues demands to United States government. I can share.
Are you able to put that in the chat, Shareef? So that way I want to make sure that I get. We'll put it up.
Yeah.
Make sure we let everybody know.
Yeah,
that.
Because this is an important thing, and it's a really interesting strategy.
And
it's very smart.
And as silly as this to say this, but hey, you can always use another lawyer. That's just
no, for sure.
I don't want another lawyer. I don't.
If you and Shahid get an opportunity to work together, that would be pretty cool.
Out of my league.
No, he's
no. For this, there's no such thing as way out of the league, because we're not going to court. We're just
right. No, I know.
Right.
he's like very specifically a constitutional lawyer, so it's like that is his bag. Whereas but I am research wonky. I am that. Like I am definitely a research.
Oh, and that's something we definitely gonna need. So for sure. So
all right. So loop me in. Do you have, if you have our contact stuff, do you have our generationalchange@gmail.com?
Yeah.
However you got that communication, link me in, or if you guys do a Slack or whatever. I mean, I'm not the best with all those apps. They fall through. I try. We
try to keep it simple.
No, my team.
Somebody has a Slack, and somebody has a WhatsApp, and somebody has and I can't. And if I have the notifications on, they drive me nuts. And so I really am just an email text person.
Guys,
my team and I get mad at me all the time because I'm old school. I'm like cell phone heavy. I'm like email heavy. I'm Twitter heavy. So like I'm on there every now and then, but I'm not on our working groups as much as everyone would like me to be.
Okay, because I'm bad. I'm like, just please text me, people. Text me. Email. But bring me into the loop. I'd be very happy to help you guys with that. That sounds like a really cool thing.
Guys, please click the link, sign the petition, share it, spread it everywhere. This is direct action, and this is how we're going to get things done.
Absolutely.
It really, really makes a difference. And the idea of having thousands of people standing in front of the UN saying the time is now for healthcare, that sounds like a pretty damn good idea.
And the optics are so bad for us.
It is.
And it's pathetic. It's pathetic that we have to do that.
And the truth of the matter is, if you do this plan, if you plan this well and you do it in front of the UN, you'll get people like BBC and Al Jazeera and groups like that to cover it, because we're not going to cover it, but they will, and that is going to be very, very big.
We have some international allies out there, so they're going to be reached out to for sure.
Anything you want to plug before we depart, Shareef? Anything else that you want to mention before we go?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at I am for Medicare for all. Please DM me if you have any other suggestions, comments, you want to know what the coalition is doing. You can also go to our website at mforall.org. We're open coalition. We have we're non-hierarchical. So please, if you have suggestions, ideas, you want to do any actions, we're open to that. I'm loving that.
And it's just as it sounds. I am for Medicare for all. That's Twitter.
Yeah, that's Twitter.
All right, I will put that in right now.
Keep up with this. It's really important, and there's going to obviously be more opportunities down the road for people to have local actions and participate in all of these things. And the next year when you do it, we're going to do everything we can to try to have something down here.
And whenever whenever it is planned, whenever it's going to take place at the UN in New York City, we'll be there. So
it's I am the number 4 M.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Okay. I think you put it in the chat.
4.
There it is. Okay. All right. So that makes it easier.
I'd be a long Twitter handler.
No, well, of course we're trying to keep it as simple as we can, but yes, there we go.
Guys, check it out. Follow Shareef, know what's going on, see if there's ways you can get involved. And I love this idea of UN action.
This has been
we have to shame our own country to giving us
absolutely.
This has been a really great conversation, Shareef. We're really glad to have you on.
Thankful.
Let's keep the conversation going. And obviously now that the team is growing, of course, with Shahid and others, we'll definitely have you on again. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that whatever it's going to take to make sure that we leave no stone unturned and have a tremendous turnout for the UN event, we'll do all we can to help.
Healthcare's always been our top priority.
Absolutely. 100%.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. You guys do great work. Thank you so much.
Have a great evening, Shareef.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye. I mean,
I think it's
that's
cool
the man right there.
are forming a little union there.
But that's
awesome.
that's the outside movement that really knows what's going on. And just like we talk about how important Jordan Chariton and Jen Dice and all them are with Status Quo, this is that group. These are the real on the ground work, and this is how it's going to get done. I think the idea is absolutely fantastic. I think it is.
I will get behind that.
100%. How could you not?
Very obviously realistic. He's like, it's not that we think that that's going to get anything to necessarily happen. But I do think it's important to have a record that that's the case. I do think that we need to be accountable for our human rights violations, just like we think every other country should be accountable for human rights violations.
Well, this is going to be one of those circumstances. And again, it's just a genius idea to put it on the international stage.
It's embarrassing.
And most
people in other parts of I I know people in other countries that think we're ridiculous, like we're a joke.
And the thing
that
that
we don't have health care.
the thing that Shareef talked about, which I thought was very interesting, is he really hammered the ideas we talk about a lot about. I think another one of the reasons why people don't advocate for healthcare as much is because there is this unfortunate psyche of American exceptionalism. Well, we don't really need healthcare.
No,
We're better than that.
And I think we've just been so conditioned with this private for-profit system that people just are so scared of the prospect of the unknown.
Well, that's the, you know what, again, and I'm not trying to claim I'm a genius here or anything, but again, it's kind of like with Carol Roth, who was on our podcast recently. And listen, she's got a lot of great ideas, but on the political right, they always have a very direct talking point. One of their biggest talking points is, what does the government do well? Well, we want government funded, not government run healthcare. But the question that's never been posed in the other direction is, what does Blue Cross Blue Shield do well? What does United Healthcare do well? What does Aetna do well? What does Cigna do well? Kill people and make money, bleed you dry. That's what they do. They don't do anything. They don't provide a service. They're a for-profit middleman who steals from us. That's all they are. And everyone needs to know that.